When we think of US presidents, we often imagine powerful, polished leaders making grand speeches and shaping the course of history. But what if I told you that behind the polished speeches and well-groomed appearances, some of the most influential figures in American history were hiding some dark, disgusting secrets? Secrets that, despite their efforts to cover them up, eventually came to light. Today, we are going to take a deep dive into 15 of the most shocking rumors about US presidents that turned out to be true. And trust me, these are not your average historical tidbits. These are tales of scandal, hidden diseases, and personal betrayals that could rival any Hollywood drama. Ready to uncover the dark side of American history? Then keep watching, because these stories are about to get wild. 1. James Buchanan, the secret lover in the White House. Let's kick things off with one of the most mysterious presidents in American history, James Buchanan. He's often remembered for his failure to prevent the Civil War, but there's a side to him that most history books leave out. Buchanan, who was never married, lived most of his life alongside his close friend, William Rufus King. Now, historians have long speculated about their close relationship, and while there's no definitive proof, many believe that the two were more than just friends. Some even suggest that their bond may have been romantic, and Buchanan's bachelor status wasn't a result of a lack of opportunity, but rather because of his relationship with King. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Buchanan's personal life, and especially his relationship with King, has fueled rumors that his behavior may have been affected by more than just unrequited love. Some have even suggested that his emotional instability and eventual health problems could have been linked to a hidden disease, a fact that was carefully kept under wraps during his presidency. 2. Warren G. Harding, a presidency full of scandal. Warren G. Harding's presidency is most famously remembered for the Teapot Dome scandal, but the real dirt on Harding goes much deeper than corruption in his administration. It's the story of his personal life that's truly shocking. Harding was known for his numerous affairs, and one of the most notorious was his long-term relationship with Nan Britton, a woman who was not only his lover but also claimed to have had a child with him. But that's not all. There are whispers about other affairs and even rumors that Harding may have contracted a venereal disease during these affairs. The disease, if true, would have played a role in his declining health, which was kept a secret from the public during his presidency. The question remains, how much of Harding's personal life affected his leadership? Was his inability to fully govern the nation during his presidency partly due to his personal demons and hidden health struggles? We'll never know for sure, but these rumors paint a darker picture of a president whose legacy was marred not just by scandal, but by his own personal turmoil. 3. Chester A. Arthur, the secret illness. Chester A. Arthur may not be the first president who comes to mind when you think about American history, but his story is filled with mystery and illness that most people never knew about. Arthur became president after the assassination of James Garfield, but soon after taking office, whispers started to surface about his health. Arthur had been diagnosed with a disease known as Bright's disease, a kidney condition that severely affected his health. However, what most didn't know at the time was that this illness had been kept under wraps for a long time. Arthur had been hiding his condition from the public, fearing that if the nation knew of his poor health, it would tarnish his political career. Rumors also circulated that Arthur's health problems were exacerbated by his secretive, lavish lifestyle. Some speculated that his condition was related to a venereal disease, a rumor that, like many others, was never fully confirmed. But the reality is that Arthur's presidency, though relatively successful, was overshadowed by a secret illness that few knew about until after he left office. 4. Herbert Hoover, personal tragedy and hidden health struggles. Herbert Hoover is often remembered as the president who led the nation through the Great Depression. But what many don't know is that Hoover's personal life and health struggles were deeply intertwined with his time in office. Hoover faced immense pressure as the country fell into economic turmoil, but on a personal level, he was dealing with a significant amount of health issues. His later years were plagued with problems related to chronic illnesses, some of which were rumored to be sexually transmitted diseases. While Hoover never publicly acknowledged any such issues, there are historical accounts that suggest his physical decline during his presidency was more than just the result of stress. Some say it was linked to a hidden disease that impacted his ability to lead effectively during one of the darkest times in American history. 5. Ronald Reagan, the dark secret behind his health. Ronald Reagan is remembered as one of America's most charismatic presidents, leading the nation through the end of the Cold War and the rise of conservatism. However, there's a darker side to his story that many have chosen to overlook. In his later years, it was revealed that Reagan was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. But what wasn't immediately known was how long he had been struggling with the disease while still serving in office. Some historians believe that Reagan may have been showing signs of Alzheimer's earlier than publicly acknowledged, which begs the question, was his health impacting his decision-making? But there's another layer to this story. Rumors persist that Reagan's personal life, particularly his time in Hollywood, might have involved more than just acting. Some speculate that Reagan, during his younger years, may have contracted a venereal disease, which could have contributed to his health issues later in life. The truth remains unclear, but it adds another layer of intrigue to the life of a president whose legacy is often viewed through the lens of his public achievements. 6. John Quincy Adams, hidden affairs and political intrigue. John Quincy Adams, the 6th President of the United States, is often regarded as a skilled diplomat and a man of great intellectual stature. But his personal life was filled with rumors that suggest a more scandalous side to his character. Adams had a complex and tumultuous personal life, and some historians suggest that he had multiple affairs during his time in office. There were whispers about his relationships with various women, and some even speculate that these affairs might have led to health issues that affected both his personal and political life. Given the strict social expectations of the time, these relationships would have been kept secret, and any illness resulting from them would have been carefully hidden from the public eye. John Quincy Adams' presidency may have been overshadowed by his diplomatic successes, but behind the scenes, his personal struggles and rumored health issues paint a much more complicated portrait of the man. 7. Zachary Taylor, mysterious death and hidden diseases. Zachary Taylor, the 12th President of the United States, had a short and mysterious time in office. Just 16 months after taking office, Taylor died unexpectedly, leading to speculation that something more than a natural illness was at play. Some historians believe that Taylor may have been poisoned, but there are other rumors that suggest his death was related to a chronic illness, possibly a venereal disease. It's said that Taylor's declining health was kept a secret during his presidency, and it wasn't until after his death that the true nature of his condition began to surface. Was his sudden death a result of illness that had been brewing for years, or was something more sinister at play? We may never know, but the rumors surrounding his untimely demise have only added to the mystery of his brief presidency. 8. John F. Kennedy, the health secrets behind his charisma. John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, is one of the most iconic figures in American history. He's remembered for his inspiring speeches, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the moon landing promise. But beneath the charm and brilliance, there were personal secrets that weren't revealed until long after his tragic assassination. Kennedy's numerous affairs have been the subject of endless speculation, but what many don't know is that some of these relationships may have come with a heavy price, health issues that were kept hidden from the public. Rumors suggest that JFK was battling multiple health conditions during his presidency, including chronic back pain and digestive issues, which he sought treatment for in secret. But the most shocking rumor? Some say that Kennedy was suffering from a venereal disease, contracted through his many liaisons. It's easy to overlook Kennedy's health struggles in light of his political accomplishments, but what if his personal life was the reason for some of his decisions, or perhaps even his public persona? Was the young, energetic president hiding more than just his affairs? These health issues could have affected not only his daily life but also his ability to perform as president during such a volatile time in American history. 9. Lyndon B. Johnson, the womanizer and his hidden ailments. Lyndon B. Johnson, the 36th President of the United States, was known for his aggressive political maneuvering and his role in passing landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act. However, his personal life, particularly his numerous extramarital affairs, has been shrouded in rumors and scandal. Johnson's affairs were widely known, and it's believed that his sexual activity led to a range of health problems. Some historians speculate that he may have contracted a venereal disease, which could have contributed to his declining health during his presidency. His frequent mood swings and bouts of fatigue, often attributed to the stress of his office, could have been signs of something more serious. Yet, despite these rumors, Johnson managed to push through significant political achievements. Behind the political titan was a man who faced serious personal challenges, including the potential impact of his extramarital activities on his health. But even more intriguing is the possibility that his health struggles were kept from the public, especially considering his enormous political success. How much did Johnson's personal life affect his presidency? Was his political dominance a cover for a man struggling with personal demons? These questions add complexity to an already fascinating figure. 10. Benjamin Harrison, the silent suffering behind the presidency. Benjamin Harrison, the 23rd President of the United States, is often remembered for his foreign policy achievements and his role in the Sherman Antitrust Act. But there's another side to Harrison's story that's far less discussed: his struggles with health and rumors of affairs. Harrison's time in office wasn't marked by major scandals, but his personal life was filled with whispers about his relationships with women outside of his marriage. These relationships, some historians believe, could have exposed him to venereal diseases, which might have contributed to his health issues. Harrison was often reported to have struggled with fatigue, unexplained skin conditions, and other ailments during his presidency, which some speculate were the result of infections. Despite these personal struggles, Harrison managed to serve a full term, but the rumors about his health and private life add an intriguing layer to his political legacy. What if these issues played a role in his decision-making or his ability to lead effectively? Could his struggles have been more than just a personal matter? The secrecy surrounding Harrison's health problems only deepens the mystery surrounding his presidency. 11. Theodore Roosevelt, hidden illnesses and presidential power. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, is often seen as a larger-than-life figure, someone who embodies strength, adventure, and leadership. He led the Rough Riders during the Spanish-American War, pushed progressive reforms, and helped shape the modern American landscape. But what many don't know is that Roosevelt was hiding a number of health problems during his time in office. Roosevelt's physical vitality was often the subject of public admiration, but privately, he struggled with health issues that he kept secret from the public. Some historians speculate that his excessive energy and rigorous lifestyle were masking the impact of chronic illnesses, including syphilis, which he may have contracted during his younger years in New York's high society. This illness, if true, could have contributed to his later health struggles, including periods of fatigue, mood swings, and skin conditions that were sometimes linked to venereal diseases. Despite these rumors, Roosevelt continued to push through his presidency with an image of invincibility. His reputation as a robust leader may have overshadowed any concerns about his health. But as we look deeper into his personal life and the challenges he faced, the possibility that Roosevelt was battling a secret illness adds complexity to the image of the man who seemed larger than life. 12. Mary Todd Lincoln, the hidden struggles of the First Lady. Mary Todd Lincoln is often remembered for her tragic life as the First Lady, especially for the grief she endured after the assassination of her husband, President Abraham Lincoln, and the untimely death of their son, Willie. Her life seemed to be filled with personal tragedies that would have broken most people. However, behind the grief, there are rumors about her health that go far beyond emotional suffering. Historians have long debated the cause of Mary Todd Lincoln's emotional instability. She was known for her volatile moods, frequent outbursts, and bouts of deep depression. In fact, she was eventually committed to a psychiatric hospital by her surviving son, Robert Todd Lincoln, due to concerns about her mental health. But what if these emotional struggles weren't just the result of the unbearable losses she faced? What if there was a hidden medical cause contributing to her erratic behavior? Some historians believe that Mary Todd Lincoln might have contracted a venereal disease, possibly as a result of her husband's infidelities. Abraham Lincoln was known to have a distant and tumultuous relationship with his wife, with some rumors suggesting he may have had extramarital affairs. The stigma surrounding venereal diseases at the time was significant, and many people, especially in high society, would go to great lengths to conceal their diagnoses. It suggested that Mary's emotional and physical decline might have been exacerbated by this hidden illness, which she kept a secret from the public, much like many women of her time who suffered in silence. The emotional toll of losing her son Willie to a sudden illness was devastating, but if Mary had been dealing with a venereal disease, it would have added another layer of complexity to her personal suffering. The symptoms of syphilis, for example, can include fatigue, depression, and cognitive decline, all of which could have compounded her grief and led to her erratic behavior. It's possible that the secrecy surrounding both her husband's behavior and her own health contributed to her feeling of isolation, further damaging her mental stability. Mary Todd Lincoln's story, marked by immense personal tragedy and mental health struggles, becomes even more tragic if we consider the possibility that she was battling a disease that was both physically and emotionally debilitating. This hidden aspect of her life paints a much more complicated picture of the woman who stood by her husband during some of the most critical years in American history. 13. Richard Nixon, the paranoia and personal struggles. Richard Nixon's presidency is defined by the Watergate scandal, which led to his resignation and left an indelible mark on American politics. But Nixon's personal life and health were equally complicated, filled with rumors and struggles that were rarely discussed in public. One of the most notable aspects of Nixon's personality was his extreme paranoia. This trait was evident throughout his presidency, especially during the Watergate scandal. Nixon became obsessed with the idea of enemies conspiring against him, which led him to take extreme actions to try and protect his political position. But what if Nixon's paranoia wasn't just a product of his political circumstances? Some historians believe it may have been linked to deeper personal struggles, including health problems that were kept hidden from the public. Nixon's health issues were often overshadowed by his political career, but they were a significant part of his life. It's rumored that Nixon struggled with a number of chronic illnesses, including gastrointestinal issues and skin conditions, which some speculate could have been symptoms of a venereal disease. During his time as a young man in politics, Nixon was known to have engaged in numerous relationships with women, some of which were rumored to have been brief affairs that may have exposed him to sexually transmitted infections. These health issues were reportedly kept from the public, likely because they would have damaged his image as a strong leader. But Nixon's struggles with his health, particularly the impact it may have had on his mental state, raise important questions about the nature of his presidency. Could his obsession with control and secrecy have been a result of his declining physical condition? Did his personal health contribute to his political downfall, as the stress and strain of the Watergate scandal only worsened his paranoia? Nixon's personal life was full of secrecy and turmoil, but when we look beyond the scandals, we see a man who was likely struggling with his health in ways that were hidden from the public eye. His story isn't just about politics, it's about the deep, personal battles he faced while trying to maintain control over his career and his legacy. 14. James Madison, the fragile Constitution and the hidden health battle. James Madison, often referred to as the father of the Constitution, is best known for his role in drafting the U.S. Constitution and leading the nation through the War of 1812. As the fourth President of the United States, Madison's intellectual prowess and leadership were essential in shaping the early years of the American Republic. However, his presidency was also marked by personal struggles that few people knew about at the time. Madison's physical health was fragile throughout his life. Standing at just 5 feet 4 inches and weighing only about 100 pounds, he was physically small and frail, which led many to believe that he simply wasn't cut out for the pressures of the presidency. His physical limitations were often a point of concern among those who worked closely with him, and he frequently suffered from various ailments, including chronic stomach issues and other health problems that hindered his ability to fully engage in the duties of the presidency. What many don't know, however, is that some historians speculate that Madison may have suffered from a venereal disease. There are rumors that Madison contracted syphilis during his younger years while working as a young politician in Virginia, a time when venereal diseases were common, particularly among those in the political elite. These speculations are based on Madison's known health struggles, including his digestive problems and bouts of fatigue, which were not fully explained at the time. If these rumors are true, it would add an entirely new dimension to Madison's character. The father of the Constitution was not only crafting one of the most important documents in history, but also dealing with a hidden health battle that few knew about. It's possible that these health struggles contributed to his cautious nature and his desire to avoid physical confrontations, which played a role in his diplomatic and political style. James Madison's presidency may be remembered for his intellectual brilliance and leadership during a crucial time in American history, but the possibility that he was fighting a chronic illness behind closed doors adds a layer of complexity to his legacy. It also highlights how, even the most revered figures in American history, were not immune to the struggles of health and personal challenges that could impact their ability to lead. 15. Calvin Coolidge, the silent struggles of a quiet president. Calvin Coolidge, the 30th President of the United States, is often remembered for his quiet and reserved personality. Unlike many of his more charismatic predecessors, Coolidge didn't engage in grand speeches or dramatic public displays. His presidency was characterized by his hands-off approach to governance, which earned him the nickname Silent Cal. However, behind this calm and composed exterior, Coolidge was dealing with personal struggles that were rarely, if ever, discussed publicly. Coolidge faced a number of personal challenges throughout his presidency, many of which were linked to his health. After the sudden death of his son, Calvin Jr., from an infected blister, Coolidge became deeply affected by the loss. This event marked a significant turning point in his personal life, and some historians believe it contributed to his emotional withdrawal from public life. However, what most don't know is that Coolidge may have been suffering from more than just grief. There are rumors that Coolidge may have been dealing with a chronic illness, potentially a venereal disease, which could have exacerbated his emotional struggles. The lack of public acknowledgement about Coolidge's health has led to widespread speculation about the true nature of his physical condition. Some believe that his illness, possibly related to his past sexual relationships, contributed to his increasingly withdrawn behavior and emotional distance from those around him. Coolidge's presidency was marked by economic prosperity, but his personal life was filled with hidden struggles that few knew about at the time. The possibility that he was battling a chronic illness, compounded by the personal tragedy of losing his son, paints a more complicated picture of the man who quietly led the country during a period of great prosperity. Coolidge's story is a reminder that even the most reserved and seemingly unassuming figures in history may have been fighting battles that the world never saw.